Hey there, everybody. So the other day I had a apparently viral video come across my Facebook feed by Bill Nye talking about how we should stop telling women what to do with their bodies and accusing those who oppose abortion of not understanding science. So I thought we'd take a look at that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video, and I'm going to pause it at every point that Bill makes a statement or a claim or an assertion, and we'll take a look at that claim or assertion from science and logic, and see if Bill knows what he's talking about.
Many more hundreds of eggs are fertilized than become humans.
He has made a claim that a fertilized egg is not human. The scientific definition of human is a bipedal primate mammal, Homo sapiens. This is a species-based definition. No creature changes its species during its life cycle. Thus, from the moment of conception until the moment of death, the creature remains the same species. Even before conception and after death, we are identified as human, like as a human egg or a human cadaver.
Eggs get fertilized, and by that I mean sperm get accepted by ova a lot. But that's not all you need.
That's not all you need for what? Given what Bill says next, we'll assume he means that you need more to be human. I would take issue with that statement, but let's address that later.
You have to attach to the uterine wall, the inside of a womb, a woman's womb. But if you're going to hold that as a standard, that is to say, if you're going to say when an egg is fertilized, it's therefore has the same rights as an individual, then whom are you going to sue? Whom are you going to imprison?
Sue for what, Bill? Imprison for what, Bill?
Every woman who's had a fertilized egg pass through her? Every guy whose sperm has fertilized an egg and then it didn't become a human?
At this point, Bill is trying to say that the loss of a fertilized egg, not a human, is, or should be, viewed as a crime by those who are anti-abortion. He is also saying that it would be foolish to do so. It is both a fallacy of appeal to ridicule and the fallacy of the straw man. No anti-abortionist is seeking to charge anyone with a crime for a natural process any more than we seek to charge people when someone dies of old age.
Have all these people failed you?
Now we have moved from a bad science statement to a personal affront. It is another straw man argument. Anti-abortionists are not personally affronted by miscarriages any more than they are personally offended by death by old age. The issue is not about people failing anti-abortionists by their failure to reproduce.
It's just a reflection of a deep scientific lack of understanding. And you literally, or you apparently literally don't know what you're talking about.
To put it simply, the conclusion is not supported by the evidence presented. Bill has produced two known facts, and a fact that was presented in isolation. Let's be generous and say Bill meant that implantation was a necessary step towards a successful birth. These three facts have nothing to do with imprisoning people for a miscarriage. What deep lack of scientific understanding do we have, Bill? This is a form of ad hominem, an attack known as the abusive fallacy.
And so when it comes to women's rights with respect to their reproduction, I think you should leave it to women.
A second unsupported conclusion. Other than Bill's unsupported assertion that anti-abortionists don't know what they are talking about, there is no support for this claim. He is rapidly jumping from one argument to the next without actually saying or proving anything.
It's really, you cannot help but notice.
Now we're moving into judgmental language, another type of fallacy. This also could be considered ad populum.
I mean, I'm not the first guy to observe this.
Ad populum, an appeal to authority.
You have a lot of men of European descent passing these extraordinary laws based on ignorance. Sorry, you guys.
Genetic fallacy. Basically, he is trying to say, first, that European men are both the majority force behind the action and the authority behind it. Secondly, he is trying to say that they don't have a right to comment or hold an opinion on it. So, let's take a look at the statistics. Of men, 51% are pro-life and 54% are pro-choice. Of women, 41% are pro-life and 50% are pro-choice. Virtually opposite, but at the same time fairly close.
I know it was written, or your interpretation of a book written 5,000 years ago, 50 centuries ago, makes you think that when a man and a woman have sexual intercourse, they always have a baby.
This is a false statement. First, Bill has narrowed his audience to one particular religious group. Even though his facts are wrong, he seems to be attacking Christians, probably Roman Catholics, since they are the largest group who supported the sex only for procreation idea. This leaves out multiple other religions who oppose abortion, as well as the numerous atheists. Additionally, nowhere in the Christian Bible does it say or even indicate that sex is only for procreation. In fact, there are numerous passages which could be seen as promoting sexual enjoyment. There are numerous occasions where God is credited with opening or closing the womb. This means that people were having sex without getting pregnant and crediting God with the outcome.
That's wrong. And so to pass laws based on that belief is inconsistent with nature.
Another misleading straw man argument. People are not passing laws based on the belief that intercourse must always result in a pregnancy. If we're talking about the laws that are inconsistent with nature, we must also look at all of our laws. For instance, is murder wrong? What principle of nature tells us that murder is wrong? Animals kill each other all the time. Chimpanzees kill each other. Hippos kill each other. Why is murder wrong, according to nature? Bill's entire argument at this point is based on a house of cards of straw man statements. He has made no case at all.
I mean, it's hard not to get frustrated with this, everybody. And I know nobody likes abortion, okay?
This is a judgmental statement that isn't based on any facts. Bill can think that nobody likes abortion, but what's he really saying? Most people don't like going to the dentist or having a wart removed, but they don't see it as a moral problem. He has said nothing about the morality of abortion. Whether people like abortion or not is not an issue. That's like saying you don't like slavery while supporting a person's right to own slaves. It is meaningless.
But you can't tell somebody what to do. I mean...
False. We tell people what to do all the time. That's what laws do. They tell you what to do or what not to do. We have laws against murder. It is not only a non sequitur, but a false statement.
She has rights over this, especially if she doesn't like the guy that got her pregnant. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with your genes. Get over it, especially if she were raped and all this.
Are rights a facet of nature? Are we imbued by rights by our evolution? No. Rights are conferred by your society. If your society says that you have the right to own a house, you do. If they say you have the right to a trial, you do. Rights are not universal and they are not inalienable. Don't believe me? The American Constitution guarantees Americans with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If those rights are inalienable, why do they have jails? What about the death penalty? Your rights are really privileges that come with responsibilities. If you follow the laws, you get the rights. Break the laws, and some of your rights might be forfeit.
So it's very frustrating on the other side.
Bill, in all honesty, the only frustration I can see is your ability to put together a cogent response. You have not built even a fraction of a logical, scientific case here.
We have so many more important things to be dealing with. We have so many more problems. To squander resources on this argument based on bad science, on just lack of understanding.
First, very little is wasted on the abortion issue. Your idea that we are not dealing with the important issues because we are squandering resources on this argument is unsupported by anything you have shown up to this point. You've not shown any bad science or lack of understanding on the part of the anti-abortionists. In fact, it seems you are the purveyor of bad science and the lack of understanding yourself.
It's very frustrating. You wouldn't know how big a human egg was if it weren't for microscopes, if it weren't for scientists who are medical researchers looking diligently. You wouldn't know the process. You wouldn't have that shot, the famous shot or shots where the sperm are bumping up against the egg. You wouldn't have that without science.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Bill, but there are hundreds of scientists who are Christian. 65.4% of the Nobel Prizes awarded between 1900 and the year 2000 went to Christian scientists. Bill is presenting a false dichotomy between science and religion. There is no dichotomy between science and religion. Christians believe that God created a knowable universe and science is the tool to understand it. Christians are not anti-science. Not only that, but as I said previously, it's not just Christians or religious people who oppose abortion, but also atheists.
So then to claim that you know the next step when you obviously don't is trouble.
False claim. First, Bill hasn't talked about this vaporous next step, but perhaps he is harking back to his implantation claim from earlier. And as I've already shown, but perhaps it bears repeating, anti-abortionists know about implantation and miscarriage. Many of us have lived through that heartbreak.
Okay, let me do that again. Let me just pull back. At some point, we have to respect the facts. Recommending or insisting on abstinence has been completely ineffective. Just being objective here.
Okay, Bill, let's be objective. The fact is, if you don't have sex, you don't get pregnant. Science tells us that. But let's continue with your claim. Recommending or insisting on abstinence has not been completely ineffective, but it likewise has not been very effective. In fact, according to this report, neither sex education or abstinence education were effective at reducing the teen intercourse rates at all. Now, to be fair, I don't think the education received in the school system is the only influence on teen behavior. Both sexually and otherwise, the influences they have outside of that formal education might have a significant effect on their sexual behavior. In either case, this really has nothing to do with the morality or legality of abortion.
Closing abortion clinics, not giving women access to birth control has not been an effective way to lead to healthier societies. I think we all know that.
First, ad populum. Secondly, conflating abortion clinics with birth control is another fallacy. Anti-abortionists are not generally anti-birth control. In fact, most promote birth control as a way to avoid abortions. Now, perhaps Bill is speaking specifically of Planned Parenthood, who states that they provide counseling and birth control, but recent investigations have shown that Planned Parenthood specifically seems to only offer abortions at many of its locations. The removal of federal funding for Planned Parenthood because of their abortion-only stance does not mean that the anti-abortionists are likewise anti-birth control.
And I understand that you have deeply held beliefs, and it really is ultimately out of respect for people, in this case, your perception of unborn people.
Our perception of the unborn people. Okay, Bill, since you have finally brought this up, what is the science behind this? You've not offered any. Beyond trying to mock people for saying human life begins at conception, though your bad science insists on implantation as part of the process, you have not offered any reason for the unborn person not to be considered a person under the law.
I understand that, but I really encourage you to look at the facts. And I know people are now critical of the expression fact-based. But what's wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with that. It would be great if you actually offered some relevant facts.
So I just really encourage you to not tell women what to do and not pursue these laws that really are in nobody's best interest. Just really be objective about this.
These laws are in the interest of the life of the unborn and the mental health of the mother. There are numerous reports and anecdotes of the trauma that the mother endures. The number of young women who have lost the ability to conceive because of earlier abortions. The heartbreak and nightmares they endure because of earlier decisions. Are you being objective about them?
We have other problems to solve, everybody. Come on. Come on. Let's work together.
I agree that we should be working together, Bill. I'd love it if you'd actually offered some relevant facts and logical deductions rather than a bunch of misunderstandings, straw man arguments, and hyperbole. But you didn't. You tried to use your face as the science guy to say you were offering facts and science when you've done nothing of the sort. You gave us your opinion, and that's it. If I were your professor, I might be generous and hand this report back to you and give you the chance to rewrite it with some actual content. Thanks. That's my rant.